Thank you very much, Laura, Barbara, and the team for having me. And I enjoyed listening to you, Barbara, and appreciate your wisdom. So you've been told what I've done. What you haven't been told is who I am. People are not their CVs. Let me be as clear as I can. On the contrary, I'm a great believer. People are their values, the principles they espouse, and the things they value in life. This is what inspires people, whether they are in mining or other. And so I joined Anglo American DBS in 1994 in Botswana by sheer coincidence. I never woke up and said, I want to go into the mining industry. As a matter of fact, in truth, I didn't know what the mining industry was, even though I came from a mining country. I was very fortunate, nevertheless, because at the time, Anglo American was the largest mining company in the world, and DBS remains the largest diamond mining company in the world. And I was lucky in two ways. The first was that the job that I was employed to do took me right to the heart of the mining industry. I was compliance officer for 20 companies, and these companies were in exploration, they were in mining, they were in processing, they were in blasting, they were in chemical manufacturing, they were in drilling equipment manufacturing. So from day one, I was able to see, if you wish, the whole gambit of the mining value chain. But not only that, we were in gold, we were in diamonds, we were in copper, we were in coal, we were in salt, we were in soda ash, we were in copper nickel. So I was also able to see different industries, because we speak of mining, but the truth of the matter is mining is several industries. But more than that, because of my function as compliance officer, I went straight into the boardroom and I managed about 60 board meetings a year. And 4 of them, the chair was also the chair of the entire global company. And so from day one, I listened to men discuss mining at the topmost level of strategic thinking. I didn't know then, I was too naive. I took myself for granted. I didn't know just how lucky I was. It took me years to realize how lucky I was to be able to have a bird's eye view of this industry. As a matter of fact, when I went to our mines and spoke to the engineers, the metallurgists, the geologists, they spoke a completely foreign language because they understood mining as an operation. So for what it's worth, that's my first penny's worth. Acquaint yourself with the industry. It's vast, it's different, it's varied. Find a place for yourself. There is room for you. This is very important. Mining is neither the exploration end, the processing end, the fabrication end, is the entire element. And that is the advantage you have when you can use that knowledge as a woman to say, given my skills, given my social circumstances, given my aspirations, where in this space do I want? Do I want to work in the gold industry? Do I want to work in the copper industry, and why? It helps a lot. I didn't know this. I kind of came to it after the fact. But I do have to say also, because we are talking about the importance of inclusion, I read a very interesting statistics, and I do have to confess, this speaks more to my naivety, I guess, than anything else. I read recently that in 2002, which would have been 8 years since I joined the mining industry, in South Africa, out of 450,000 workers, only 11,000 were women. Think about that. In 2002, in Africa's leading mining destination, out of 450,000 workers, only 11,000 were women. That meant 8 years prior, when I joined, I was well and truly a needle in a haystack. But my naivety protected me, but I didn't know these statistics. So I carried on as if I was the center of the universe among these men. And I took the view that if they didn't recognize my talent, the loss was on them, not on me. So think about that. It's not about you, it's about them. They don't recognize your talent, walk it. The world is your oyster. It's important to think about it because I'm quite touched by the notion that recruitment, promotion, and retention troubles most women. Don't let it trouble you. Make your own choices and let those who don't recognize your talent lose, but move on. This is important because soon you bubble to the top. I was asked to talk about, if I reflect on the past, what has changed? Several things have changed. For one, mining is much more technological. If you think back to the period of the Incas when men mined using hand tools, or in Zimbabwe when they mined gold and iron ore centuries ago using tools, if you think about that, nobody mines these days, only machinery mines. I see we have somebody from the mine engineering here in Botswana, and they will tell you that if you go to those mines, you look around, you say, why are the people? But the truth of the matter is, if you go to Pilbara in Western Australia, the same. Western Australia runs its mines from Perth, which is about 1,500 kilometers away. This levels the playing field for women because masculinity in the physical sense doesn't matter, only talent and innovation. So the level is much more flat than it used to be when I joined the mining industry. The second thing that has changed also is the corporate culture in boardrooms has changed phenomenally. It used to be, when I was, I think for 8 years in those 20 companies, there was never a woman in the boardroom, not as an executive, not as a director. I was just there and I was, in my naivety thought, well, this is how it is. This is my lot. I don't walk into any boardroom today and I don't see a woman. So there's a lot more inclusion, both in terms of gender, but also in terms of race. So your generation, you could say, is the lucky one. You have a seat at the table and use that seat to make a difference. And it doesn't mean that you have to advocate. Just being yourself sometimes is enough. The other thing that has changed is not just the board culture. It is also that the world, thankfully, has taken a lot of interest in mining. Now, some of the interests have been problematic, admittedly. But let me be clear, any publicity is good. So the mining industry is getting a lot of publicity, and this is good because it is interesting all sorts of people, including social media, including those in technology, including blockchain. All these things means that careers in mining have suddenly been broadened, but it also means that mining is no longer an island. If you look at the entire spectrum of jobs and professions in mining, probably only 30% of them relate uniquely to the sector. So when you think of mining, don't think of mining as being a particularly unique area. Think of mining as part of a microcosm of all industries and use the knowledge you have to find the function that works for you in the mining space. I want to also say this, that social media has changed mining. In the time that I started in mining, we could just do our private things in the boardrooms and make a decision. Nobody knew, and we decided who hears and doesn't hear. It's not like that any longer. The moment you do it and you say it, somebody somewhere is capturing it and it'll be in the social media. This works well, sometimes it doesn't work well, but it does empower women and it gives women voices where you are no longer beholden to the institution to speak for you. This is a nice place to be if you want to have your voice and if you want to be heard. A few final takeaways. I sort of think that there is no substitute for being yourself and hard work. I also think that all of us must accept we will have setbacks in life. I've always made any setback work for me. I can't think of any bad thing that has ever happened to me from which I didn't profit. It's an attitude thing. Make all the setbacks work for you. Don't belabor them, don't begrudge them, just turn them on their head. Because we are talking about women, I want to say a couple of things. One final thing. Look, men are not the enemy. Let's be clear about that. Men are not the enemy. My first job, I was interviewed by 2 men. They shortlisted me. 3 men interviewed me. They hired me. Later on, after I left the bank, a man called me back, and 3 men interviewed me, and 3 men gave me a job. So I have a lot of male friends. But men are really a microcosm of the whole society in which we live, and this society is made in part by us women. Let's think about how we raise our children. Let's raise our children in a way that we are creating women of the future in mining. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. I wish you well, and congratulations, Barbara, for your hard work. I think you've just gotten started. I see great things for your organization. Thank you and goodbye.